Okay, let's dive right into this because OpenAI just did something completely unprecedented, and it is going to fundamentally change how every single one of us builds and works. Think about how we've all been operating for the last few years. The entire AI industry has kind of been stuck in this single, highly predictable rhythm, right? We all wait patiently for months, and then boom, a company drops one massive, monolithic flagship model, a giant brain that's supposed to do absolutely everything for everyone. We've been taking that same massive model and asking it to solve incredibly complex theoretical physics equations, and then literally, in the very next breath, asking it to correct the spelling in a quick two-line email. It's wildly inefficient. Well, I am here to tell you that the era of the single monolithic AI is officially over. Today, in this explainer, we are unpacking a massive paradigm shift in how we interact with frontier technology. We are looking at the brand new GPT 5.6 update, and it completely shatters the old way of doing things. So instead of just dropping one new massive update to rule them all, OpenAI actually released three distinct tiers at exactly the same time. They all share the same underlying generational brain power, the 5.6 architecture, but they're engineered from the ground up for completely different jobs. The core philosophy driving this entire release is super simple. One model is no longer enough. I mean, think about it for a second. Why on earth would you pay a huge premium in raw compute time to have your most sophisticated, expensive AI format a basic CSV file? You wouldn't use a massive, heavy-duty sledgehammer to tap in a tiny little finishing nail, right? So you definitely shouldn't use your heaviest AI to do simple, repetitive formatting. This is a fundamental shift in the economics and the true everyday utility of artificial intelligence. All right, let's meet the new team, starting with the heavy hitter. This is GPT 5.6 Sol. Sol is the undisputed flagship heavyweight thinker of the group. This model is showing genuine, measurable gains in highly complex, rigorous areas. We're talking advanced coding, deep scientific reasoning, and heavy cybersecurity analysis. But here's the thing. It's not just a smarter single chatbot. Sol introduces a max reasoning effort, allowing it to basically chew on the absolute toughest problems for much, much longer. We're talking hours or even days for a single prompt. But even wilder than that, it features an ultra mode. When you trigger Ultra, Sol actually deploys subagents. It breaks up complex parallel work, handing tasks out to its own internal team. Imagine one agent writing a block of complex code, while another agent simultaneously stress tests it for bugs, and a third reviews the overall logic, all orchestrated by Sol. You really have to start thinking of Sol less like a traditional piece of software and way more like a highly capable manager running a specialized team of experts. Now, what's really interesting is what happens when you step down from that flagship level. Meet GPT 5.6 Terra. If Sol is the manager doing all the deep, chaotic, high-level thinking, Terra is your balanced, everyday workhorse. Terra actually matches the performance of OpenAI's previous generation of flagship models, meaning it's incredibly capable out of the gate, but here is the massive kicker. It costs exactly half as much to run. This is specifically designed to be your daily driver. It's built for the kind of steady, professional work that doesn't require a whole army of subagents pondering the mysteries of the universe, but absolutely demands consistent, highly dependable, perfectly formatted professional output. It is your drafter, your summarizer, your absolute rock-solid, reliable partner. And rounding out the trio, we have GPT 5.6 Luna. Luna is the scaler of the group. It is the fastest and the absolute cheapest model of the three, designed from the ground up specifically to be a speed demon. When you have high-volume, repetitive tasks, you don't need deep philosophical reasoning. Think about a task like tagging tens of thousands of images, or taking one single product description and instantly translating it into 500 localized marketing emails. For those specific jobs, you need massive amounts of output, and you need it generated incredibly fast. That is exactly where Luna steps in to absolutely dominate the pipeline. And this brings us to the core concept that OpenAI really wants us to grasp with this release. Think, organize, produce. Instead of running every single task, big or small, through one giant bottleneck model, you are now meant to route tasks to the specific model built for that exact job, creating an incredibly efficient pipeline. You are essentially building a specialized assembly line for your digital work. It's moving entirely away from just typing a question into a chat box and moving toward truly engineering a workflow. Let me walk you through exactly what this looks like in practice with our first workflow idea to execution. Let's say you're launching a brand new product. Step 1, you go straight to Sol. You give Sol the hard, messy, strategic thinking. You ask it to act as a top-tier strategist, analyze the entire competitive landscape, and figure out all the hidden opportunities and risks. Sol's deep reasoning handles that open-ended, chaotic problem perfectly. Step 2. You take Sol's brilliant but maybe slightly unstructured strategic analysis and you hand it right over to Terra. And by the way, developers can automate this handoff completely in the background. You ask Terra to turn that messy strategy into a highly structured 30-day execution plan. Terra beautifully organizes the chaos into concrete schedules and daily tasks. Finally, step 3. You pass that beautifully formatted 30-day plan over to Luna and say, hey, generate 100 pieces of supporting social media content based on this exact plan. Luna scales it up instantly. Sol thinks, Terra structures, Luna multiplies. Let's look at another example to see how this builds for educators or honestly anyone just trying to learn something highly complex. We call this the research to mastery workflow, and it proves this concept works for way more than just corporate marketing. It's the exact same pipeline concept. Step 1, you ask Sol for a deep, expert-level explanation of a notoriously difficult subject. Say quantum mechanics. You want real connections, deep insights, definitely not just a quick Wikipedia summary. Step 2, you pass that dense, brilliant explanation down to Terra, asking it to organize the material into a structured study plan or a clean, easy-to-read curriculum outline. Then, step 3, you feed that outline right into Luna and have it rapidly generate 50 flashcards and a detailed multiple-choice quiz. Notice the repeating pattern here? Notice how the momentum shifts? Deep, slow thinking at the very top with Sol, clear, steady organization right in the middle with Terra, and massive, rapid-fire volume at the bottom with Luna. So what does this all mean? The absolute crucial point to take away from this explainer is that the three-brain pipeline fundamentally outperforms the single model bottleneck, period. When you try to force one single AI to do all of this heavy lifting and formatting, you run into massive financial and cognitive inefficiencies. You either pay way too much money for simple little tasks, or you just don't get enough deep reasoning for the highly complex ones. This pipeline strategy can essentially be applied to basically any project you are working on, completely maximizing both the quality of your output and the efficiency of your resources. It literally equals better results for less money, delivered significantly faster. Okay, let's pump the brakes and ground ourselves for a second because we need to talk about the reality of where this actually stands today. This is a genuinely limited preview. Right now, access is strictly limited to developers through the API and the Codex coding environments. It is currently restricted to a very small, highly select group of about 20 trusted partner organizations. So if you were hoping to open up ChatGPT right after this explainer and start building a Sol, Terra, and Luna pipeline, well, you can't just yet. OpenAI says this highly staged rollout is actually coordinated with the US government around new review processes for frontier models, and that broader access will be rolling out in the coming weeks. And honestly, that slow rollout makes perfect sense when you look at the safety and cybersecurity trade-offs here. SIAL is incredibly strong at finding system vulnerabilities, which is amazing if you are doing security research and trying to defend systems. But that exact same capability requires OpenAI's most aggressive safety stack to date. They are actively using strict real-time monitoring to catch potential misuse during the generation process rather than trying to catch it after the fact. OpenAI also flagged a really fascinating detail. In agentic coding tasks, this 5.6 generation shows a slight tendency to take what they call unrequested initiative. It literally acts beyond what the user actually asked for. For example, you might ask it to fix a simple little login bug, and it spontaneously decides, actually scratch that, I'm going to rewrite this entire neighboring authentication database because I thought it could be optimized. While the error rate is low, as these models get more and more autonomous, that kind of independent initiative requires very, very serious oversight. There is also a major shift in the economics of running these models that we absolutely have to talk about. We aren't just looking at 3 different capabilities, we are looking at 3 entirely different price points. Furthermore, OpenAI has introduced a strict new caching system. There are firm new rules around cache life and write costs. To put that simply, because these models pass so much context and data to one another in a pipeline, OpenAI is strictly regulating how that memory is stored and priced. For developers and builders who are planning to run this 3-brain pipeline at scale, this isn't just some minor technical footnote. You have to budget not just for the AI's brain power, but for its actual memory footprint. You will actively need to strategize around these new caching rules to make your pipeline financially viable. But zooming out, the implications of this entire update are absolutely massive. GPT-5.6 is a genuine leap, not just in raw compute power, but in the underlying philosophy of how we use this tech. The future of frontier AI is no longer about arguing over which single tool is the best. It's about rethinking your entire workflow from the ground up. It's about building a pipeline and managing a digital team. You deploy the thinker for the heavy lifting. You use the organizer to keep things beautifully structured and grounded. And you unleash the scaler to generate massive volume.
So as we prepare for this wide release, I want you to look at your own daily workflows and ask yourself, which of your tasks goes to the thinker and which goes to the scaler? Like, share, and subscribe, please, and drop a comment in comment box.